Oh, right. Back in Taunton. It's now Saturday morning. This whole week I have arranged for the key players in the South Wales Police machine gun conspiracy to get me to be locked up on a mandatory 10-year prison term to stop the civil damages claim where they'd already lost 40-odd malicious criminal prosecutions. We're getting to the heart of it because, of course, these witnesses are now having to repeat their evidence and lots of goodies are being shed. You may recall Andrew Huxtable blamed his orders from the Chief Superintendent who was sending him written instructions. Little was done without written instructions from Detective, the Superintendent, Chief Superintendent, what's his name? Stuart Mackenzie. And when he did a runner, because he didn't want to be involved with this case, he realised that the whole thing was a fraud. He left it to Chief Inspector Suzanne Hughes to give written instructions for people like Huxtable to give appropriate evidence, having done appropriate things, like with Huxtable destroying evidence of the examination of the alleged machine gun. And now, yesterday, I put in written request for the Nottinghamshire Police's investigation, and I'm being refused because they got hold of the alleged machine gun off my aeroplane I had sold to Mr. Cooper first. But once it was down in the laboratories of South Wales, police laboratories, somebody unblocked the barrel and they painted the gun back to its original colour, this film prop. And the expert who came from Birmingham Proof House confirmed that when it was presented to him, the machine gun magazine was silver in colour. Well, of course, we all know in the advent of time, we were then in the Cardiff Crown Court, where, of course, it was painted back to black when I had it. Again, trying to fool the jury. They've adjourned everything for Monday morning. And the QC for the South Wales Police Chief said that he wouldn't be calling Foxy. Now, Foxy, of course, was the female who rang up my wife pretending to buy the alleged weapon and then rang me that afternoon. And so I had a bit of fun telling her that it worked. Well, of course it worked because it only required the barrel from being unblocked, or not even doing that. You could put a 410 cartridge in it and fire a single shot, which of course was ideal in my mind long term as smoke for display work at the air show, because of course I flew this at Farnborough Air Show. Well, anyway, they are now withholding all the rest of the witnesses that were listed for next week because Huxtable has blown the case wide open, but not without the help of the other officers who've been cross-examined this week. And of course, the expert from the Proof House in Birmingham, Mr. Ridyard, who came out with so much new information, I don't have time to list it now, to confirm that the South Wales Police must have known that it was a film prop and I was not holding a prohibited weapon under Section 5 of the 1968 Firearms Act. They even went so far as to confirm that even the section further down in the Act, I was not in possession of parts of a prohibited weapon. didn't surprise me that I went out for take medication, etc., for 5 minutes, that the QC jumps on his feet for the police saying, yes, well, we won't be calling any more witnesses. We have a whole week of witnesses for next week. And of course, I'm now going to be blocked. I won't be allowed to cross-examine Foxy. I won't be able to cross-examine the key player police officer who is purported to be ill in hospital. Well, we need an adjournment until both of those are brought back to court. Me, an Englishman in a Welsh court, that is highly unlikely to happen. And guess what? At 2 o'clock, 2:05, I get an email from the Devon and Cornwall police dropping my knife case where I was jailed for being in possession of a bladed instrument just outside Exeter on the motorway. And they dropped it because somebody in the CPS has seen the body cam of PC Oliver Sevlik, who brutally rammed handcuffs behind my back and bundled me into the car, showing off to 2 lady police officers who had turned up in another car. And now they've destroyed that evidence. And they're using the excuse now that they don't have enough proof that I had a bladed instrument. Well, I showed them the knife I had in the car. I was using it to cut a funnel in order to put diesel into the tank. Anyway, we're back in court on Monday when sparks will fly.